For years after he passed, there was always an empty chair in the front row or on stage somewhere. You push love away because you feel like you don't know how to handle it. What do you do when you don't have enough love? You steal it. Most of the labels that I got in touch with, too difficult to place into one genre. When I was little, I think I would have never imagined being able to stand in front of an audience and sing and dance. Allow yourself to fail as many times as you want, because it's when you fail that you learn and you get better. Hey, I'm Imelda Gabs, and this is Room 901. What were the inspirations for the three songs I just performed? Two of them are from my debut album. So the first one, which is Am I, and the last one, which is Thieves. So those two songs are on my debut album. And the concept of my album was to do chapters of my life, 8 chapters, 8 songs. So each song represents a moment of my life, a feeling, emotion. So they're very different. There are a lot of layers to them. Am I is a question, and it comes from deep introspection from my part, because for a long time I was just, I guess, like a lot of people, trying to figure out who I was and why I was here and what my purpose was going to be. I don't have the answers to all of them, all of those questions, but that's what that song is about. Thieves has a lot of layers. At first, you can think that it's just a song about love, but it's a bit deeper than that. It's about how sometimes you feel like you don't deserve love, or you push love away because you feel like you don't know how to handle it. And so, what do you do when you don't have enough love? You steal it. You find it elsewhere. So that's what the song is about. But I always let people find their own meaning to my songs. So the third one, Fallen Angel, is the very first single that I released. It's not the first song that I've written, but first released song. It was released during COVID, and it was a song about going on to the next chapter and saying that even if you're not perfect, even if you have flaws, like, that's fine. You can still get up and learn from them, and it's okay. And it's a theme that I like to explore in my songs, is the darkness that we all have in us, I believe, and that there is beauty in it, and that you need to embrace it to actually learn to know who you are. I think being surrounded by, first of all, my father, of course, but also all of the other people that he was surrounded with, that he played with, I think it just gave me an open window towards a world that not a lot of people maybe can see from the inside and from a very young age. So I remember when I was still very little, I I was very often like backstage, like in the dress room while he was performing, waiting for him to finish. And I didn't really understand what was going on. That was just my life. But also, a bit later on, I think it also gave me the right tools to understand that this is not all glitters and fun and easy, and that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than what you actually see. So there's the music videos and the concerts and all of that, but this is just like 5%, 10% of what it is to be an artist. And being an independent artist as well, I think this has helped me a lot to be surrounded by all of those incredible people. I was very shy, so music gave me a voice. It gave me a gateway, and because I was so shy, I was not able to express myself or express my feelings. I didn't really know how to do it. So being at the piano, because singing came way later because I was way too shy for that. So I was just at the piano with my headphones, or not, but what then with the door closed, because I didn't want anyone to, which is stupid because everyone could hear me play, but in my head I wanted to be in my own bubble. And so it took a lot of time for me to burst that bubble, because just ultimately people started hearing me and saying, actually, what you're doing is not that bad. But yeah, so I would say music gave me a way to express myself where words were not enough at the time. Okay, how was my relationship with music after my father passed? Um, so I had my very first major stage experience with him. It was during one of his tours. And basically, I think I was about 13 or 14 years old, and he just told me, "Listen, this is your time now. I want you to play with me this year at least one time." And again, like I said, I was very shy, so I was very scared. But I said, "Okay, okay." And yeah, long story short, I did this performance, and I'm very thankful that I did because it was also the last time and only time that I got to perform with him because he passed 1 year after. And I don't know. I guess, I mean, this is just my own beliefs, but I guess that he felt that it was soon over. I don't know. There is a lot of things that you think about after something like that, where you think that maybe those people know. There's one thing that he said. He said, "Whatever happens," and again, I didn't really know that he was that sick. I didn't know. But he said, whatever happens in life, if one day I leave or anything, keep on your track and I will be there for you until you don't need me anymore, until you have done something that I feel like, okay, now she's good on her own. Also, from his own path, I learned a lot of resilience and just believe in your dreams. He was just a Congolese boy playing piano at the church back in Africa. And then he had this big dream of becoming a musician in Europe and in the US and tour and do all of those big stages. And he did. And he did. So I think this is just a really good example for me to just never give up. So I feel like we all have an alter ego to a certain level, which is often maybe a part of us that we don't really show. And for me, it has always been really interesting to try and link this maybe darker persona of myself with my normal everyday personality. So more and more we're becoming the same person, which is a good thing because it also heals a lot of trauma, I think, to do that. At first, when I started music, I was not truly myself. I was playing through this character that I was showing people, but it was not actually me. And it took a lot of time for me to actually break that barrier and say, actually, I can just be myself. I don't have to show off. So I think that right now, this alter ego and myself, we are like best friends. Like, this sounds crazy right now, but, but so I blend a lot of different genres. And at what point do I know what type of music I do? Well, I grew up with a lot of jazz. I grew up with a lot of classical music too, because I did the conservatory. So I studied classical music. And on the side, I was listening to a lot of other things like rock and hip hop and all of those other genres. And I think that that was my way of trying to figure out what I was going to do. A lot of people were expecting from me to follow my father's footsteps, which is a good thing. And I'm honored that I was able to do a little bit of that too, still today. But deep down, I knew that was not exactly me. That was just me following something that was already there. So I wanted to use a little bit of that, but try and figure out what I really wanted to do before it was too late. Yeah, I guess my music is just a mix of all of those influences. And then the way that I know that it is me and not me trying to copy a genre or something is that I don't really ask myself, like when I'm writing a song, I'm not telling myself, okay, I'm going to do a pop song today, or I'm going to do a hip hop song today, or a jazz song. Like it's just going to be whatever happens in the moment. Yes, the flow. I think being an independent artist, for me, it has been a real gift, even though it is a gift that comes with a lot of downs and ups. Luckily, there are a few ups, and luckily, they're big enough to balance the downs. But I think it's just the best way to learn, and because you don't have a choice, you have to do the job. No one's gonna do it for you, and so you have to do the emails. You have to get the thousands of no's and no responses, and just keep writing and keep composing and try to make people understand your vision, which is not easy sometimes. Find the funds. I mean, there's so many things you have to do that if you're signed with a label, I guess, because I've never been, so I don't know, but I guess that you don't have an insight to all of those things. If I get signed one day, if that happens, because I'm not really against it. It's more that I want it to be aligned with what I want to do, and I don't want to change whatever I am for. I mean, I feel like it would not serve my music to do that, and it would not serve the people listening to it either. So from my own experience and from friends and people that I know of, that I've heard of, some people that I know have been signed with major labels, and at first it was like the best news because okay, now I have this official stamp on my music that okay, I'm accepted by the industry. I'm gonna be taken seriously. There's a lot of things that's going to happen. I'm gonna have funds. I'm gonna have, but then reality, reality happens of deals that are not necessarily made for the artist, especially if you're not already a big name by yourself, because it's always, I feel like it's a lot about numbers and about how bankable you are to them. And if you don't have the audience to balance it out, then you're just signed to a what if his or hers audience gets big and then we have signed her or him and that's good for us, but then for the artist it's not. So a lot of them had to wait for their contract to end, or they ended it in the worst ways. And then they came back to me and said, well, listen, actually, like being independent is better. But again, I also know some people that are signed with labels that are not maybe major labels, but independent labels. And I mean, there are really great teams out there. And I'm not saying that it's like a general thing, but for me, I became independent because I had to, because most of the labels that I got in touch with, or that at least got back to me, said that it was, they didn't, I didn't have the numbers, first of all, or too difficult to place into one genre. Okay, which is a good and a bad thing. I kind of took it as a compliment, but so I was like, okay, I either have to wait for a label to notice me, but how would they notice me if I don't do anything, or I do something, and then maybe I will get noticed by the right people. So that's how I became independent. I could talk about it for a long time. So Montreux Jazz meant a lot to me, um, because, well, first of all, it's the Montreux Jazz, and as a musician, especially from the region, because I grew up in a city not so far from Montreux, so I knew a lot about the festival. Um, yeah, that was just a dream, and I remember like a year before it happened, I was performing, but underneath the, like we had to pass underneath the main stage to go to one of the small stages that were like in the off, kind of off part of the festival. And I said, oh, maybe one day I will be on the top, on the real stage up there. And so yeah, 1 year later, yeah, it happened. The realization of okay, I'm actually not that bad. And it sounds funny like this, but it's just that at that time I was really not really sure of what I was doing. I wasn't sure that if people were gonna like my songs, because also at the festival I played only my songs. So to see the reaction of the people and how it was, all the feedback that I got from it, it just reassured me that this is my path, that this is the right direction. Also, it closed a chapter with my father, because not long before he passed away, he told me, I'm always going to be there until you've done something that shows me that you don't need me anymore. And so people can believe it or not, but for years after he passed, there was always an empty chair in the front row or on stage somewhere. And it was just so random. And I just noticed it one time, and then I started looking for it. And every concert I did after he passed, there was this empty chair somewhere. And at the festival, there was a chair, and it was so random because basically, so there's this huge stage and I was in the back with the curtains, and there was this wooden chair, an ugly chair that was just there behind the curtains, but you could see the stage from the chair. And I remember telling one of the engineers, like, "Are you gonna leave this chair here?" They were like, "Yeah, it's fine," and it stayed. And I performed, and that was the last time that I saw an empty chair when I performed. So for me, it was like, okay, this was like the last time where he saw, okay, now she did something. Like he knew, like, okay, this is going to be the yes, it's going to. She's good. She's good. So this is just me, but I do believe in it. When I make music, this little shy part of me is still there, a lot. And so when I make music, it's like creating a world, it's like creating a bubble. And so I hope that when people listen to my music, they feel welcomed into that bubble and that they can feel free to express themselves how they want to and to take from that song whatever they want to. Because I imagine that everyone has its own story and its own way of seeing the world, quite literally. And it's quite interesting. Sometimes I find myself, it's going to sound weird now, but when you see a lot of people in the streets, sometimes, they're just, you're just passing by. But when you think about it, they all have a life and stories and problems. And just to think about it right now, there's so much going on in the world, like just right now. And it, just to put it into perspective, sometimes it's really overwhelming to me. But so I hope that my music can talk to as many people that feel welcomed into my little world. And I hope it does them well. I guess I like to dig deep into certain subjects that are not always the easiest, but I also try to do it not in a literal way. So it's always up to the listener to either read the surface or go a bit deeper with the lyrics. I do have happy songs. I have songs that are a bit more introspective. I have songs that are dance songs. I have songs where you want to lay down and cry. Like, so it really depends on the song, but I hope people can get what they need from what they hear. I guess because music, even when I was very little, music was my getaway. So it was my way of expressing things when I was angry, when I was sad, and the strongest emotions have always been, for me at least, have always been those emotions that are difficult to go through. Like it's pain, it's love. Love can be very beautiful, but it's also very tragic. Like all of those quite difficult themes have always been a bigger source of, I guess, inspiration. But I could also put hope in it. But those are all quite deep subjects. Like, it's true that I never really write about, like, let's go dancing, or it's true that there's always some kind of melancholy to it. But a melancholic song can be groovy. It can be, like, it can have a vibe. But it's more about the, again, like the second layer, the deeper layer. Like I like to have songs that you can just listen to like this if you want, but you can also listen to them in a deeper way if you want. I guess what would surprise my younger self is the confidence that I've gained, even though I don't feel like I'm at a 100%, but I'm way higher than before, that's for sure. So I guess that would be surprising because when I was little, I think I would have never imagined being able to stand in front of an audience and sing and dance, and like that would have been impossible for me to imagine. So I think that would be quite a surprise. I think I've learned to know myself better and to know my music better. And by that, I did a lot of traveling. And when I say traveling, it's not vacation type. It's like traveling, like tents and going into places where I don't know the language. And um, those are the kind of travels that I like. And I think this is because I go out of my comfort zone. And this is mostly where I find my inspiration, is when I try new things. And what I did today, for example, when I performed, that was also, I mean, it's very new for me to use all of this gear. So this is going out of my comfort zone again, but it's also slighting some new ideas, because then I'm challenging myself and I have to find solutions. And that's how you find ideas, is when you have problems and you have to solve them. That's how we invented a lot of things. and, and so I think with this album, I feel like I'm going to be more grounded and less scared to go even further out of my comfort zone. And I also really want to mix a bit more of my um, cultural heritage. And I want it to be also an album with a bit more collaborations, because the first one I felt, as a woman, as a female producer and everything, like I admit, I wanted to be able to say that my first record was completely me, because I felt that otherwise people were always going to say that, of course, someone else is behind your record. You haven't done it yourself. So at least now I can say I did. And now I feel open to collaborating, and I'm actually already working on collaboration. So I'm really excited about what this album is gonna be. If you are a musician and if you want to make a career out of it, 100% stay true to what you feel, to who you are. And this can seem like an easy thing, but it really isn't, because there's gonna be a lot of doubt, and a lot of people are going to tell you it's not gonna work. But you have to believe that it will, and you have to surround yourself with people that believe in that. And that's maybe also the hardest thing. Like, be careful about who you surround yourself with, because this is not a lonely path. Because people who will tell you that they did this all on their own, they didn't. It's always because of all of the people around you, and of course yourself. But yeah, so stay true to yourself. Surround yourself with people who believe in you and in your work, and allow yourself to fail as many times as you want, because it's when you fail that you learn and you get better.